You know what? My mic is muted. Huh. That's okay. That's okay. That happens. All right. Welcome, guys. Welcome to BTV. I am not surprised that the mic was muted, but now you can hear me. So we're just going to get right into this. We went through a few things. I put some things on the screen. So make sure you go support Chris, the for Brown with the hidden in the Shadows book. And make sure you go support Miss Kimberly's website. I will put both links in the chat. Wish I had somebody in here to tell me that that was muted, but that's okay. We're going to get started and get this right off the bat. I'm going to get this shared. 1 second. And we're going to get started with this mini moon that we have, guys. It's so much numbers around this. The numerology around this is lit. And you know what? Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead back and read that, and then we'll get this started. Let me get this screen shared. All right. All right. All right, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Culture Reflections, Season 2, Episode 2. We're talking about the mini moon. We're talking about sun and number attractions. We're talking about fate, destiny, justice, new eras, the political climate. The numbers are lit, guys. So make sure you stay tuned as we break down the numerologics of the arrival of the mini moon. We're going to be doing that right here on Culture Reflections podcast. I, of course, am your host, the Queen Bee, and we are about to get numeral lit with these numbers with the mini moon. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. If you're tuning into the rebroadcast, of course, we do the show live. Thank you for tuning in. We do have a call-in feature later on in the show. If you want to call in, just make sure you let me know in the comments first, and we'll get you queued up because that is a process. Okay, so for you guys that don't know, I do love the moon. I'm a selenophile, and so are you guys if you love the moon too. That's the official term for it. So this episode is not traditional in the way that I'm bringing you a guest that's reflecting the positive things that they're doing in the culture back to you. I'm bringing to you what I'm doing that's positive in the culture, which I know I bring that guys to you all the time, but today is special for me. This is what I've been up to all summer. I've took a course in improvement with the best. Amongst the best. And I come out of a great class, and I'm just going to tell you here, heading into my one personal year. This is the preview season going into October. So it's not a better time for me to present to you new opportunities that I've embarked on for myself and for the channel. My gift of astro numerology to you. So it's a one personal year in 2025 for me. We're going to be incorporating a lot of this into what we do here to bring balance to the community, to the culture. Looking at even historical dates and different events that go on. I'm looking at the numerology of them and kind of breaking it down from a spiritual, esoteric point of view. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited. I hope you're excited to share that with me. I'm excited to share that with you. So without further ado, this is going to be Cultural Reflections, numerologic reflections of the moon. So I hope you guys are ready to have some fun and learn something new. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on our numerologics channels too. We have a numerologics by 2 on Instagram and also a numerologics by 2 YouTube that this is also simultaneously broadcasting on. So make sure you guys like that. I also want to make sure you guys support the brother Christopher Brown that was on an episode last week. Support his book Hidden in the Shadows. It can be found on Amazon. It's a crime drama. It's a very transformative story, labeled after some of the things that have gone on in his story and with some of the things that he's dealt with. So make sure you tap in with him. Make sure you guys go support Kimberly Williams. It's www.kimberly.com. I'll put that in the chat also later. Make sure you follow her YouTube, her Manifest on Purpose podcast, also her Astro Numerology Revealed podcast, where I'm actually featured on that show last week where we broke down P. Diddy's numerology. So if you missed that, make sure you go check that out right away. That was a dope show, and it's very dope over there. She has a lot of positive things going on over there. Money manifestation, manifestation of whatever. So make sure you check that out if that's what you are looking for. And I'll make sure I put that in the chat for us. So again, make sure you like the video. Of course, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. If you're tuned in live, I hope you can hear me now. I was on mute, Teller Technical TV. So, that it happens and we're live. So it happens when you go live, nothing's perfect. So, but we're glad to be live now. We're glad that everyone can hear us and we're ready to get lit with these numerologic numbers of the mini moon. I'm excited about the mini moon coming. It's been kind of a hectic week with it coming, I will say. Just kind of you can feel the pull on your body. Of course, the moon, rules the fluids of the body, our inner ocean. So already we feel that pull when the moon is going through different phases. And, the mini moon coming along, trying to share that atmosphere and that gravitational pull is going to affect that. So I'm sure other people have been feeling that too. All right. So I'm so excited. Let's get right into this. Let me get to the next slide. And we are going to get right into the interchangeables of the sun and moon numbers. So, the sun and moon numbers are expressed as 1 and 4 and 4 and 1 in numerology. The keys to the sun, there you see them. The 1 is represented by the sun and its masculine aspect. And the 4 is represented by Uranus and its feminine aspect. Its best day is Sunday and its best periods times are August and February. 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second, guys. 1 second. Ooh, forgot to do something. Sorry about that. Okay. Let me make sure that's taken care of. And hopefully you guys can still see everything. Okay. All right, so let's get back into it. So, not sure where I left off. Little rough going with the live today, but we're making it through. So the sun with the numbers, they're represented as a 1-4. So that represents the combination of the sun and the planet Uranus, like I said. The representation of the 1 is the sun in the summer season, and the representation of the 4 is the sun in the winter season. That's the sun in February in the period of Aquarius. Those two are connected through numerology. And then when we look at the moon keys, the moon numbers are 2 and 7, or represented as 7 and 2. So the 2 represents the full moon. The 7 does represent Neptune, but it also represents the new moon. And we also know that Neptune is more on the mental or spiritual plane side of it. So that 2 represents the full moon. The 7 represents the new moon on the quiet side, and it also represents the planet Neptune. So the period of the zodiac representing these numbers is known as the house of the sun and the house of the moon. So the house of the sun, well, let's start with the house of the moon since that's first. The house of the moon is going to be June 21st, up right through July 22nd, and up through the cusp through July 29th is known as the house of the moon. And that's your period of the 2 and the 7. And then the 7 and the 2. And then your house of the sun is July 23rd, right up through August 22nd, up through the 29th with that 7-day cusp. That is the house of the sun. So if you're born in those 2 periods, or you're born on the 1st of the month, the 4th of the month, days that add up to the 2nd of the month, or the 7th of the month, most importantly in those periods, you're known as the interchangeables. So the 1 and the 4 and the 2 and the 7 are known as interchangeable numbers. They're interconnected. And we're going to show you why that is in a second here when we get through to this next slide. The 1 and 2 are interconnected. The 1 is in symbol. So let's talk about the 1 first. The 1 and 2 are interconnected because the 2 has the feminine attributes of the sun. that makes them the direct opposite in all. And of course, we know that here at Numeralytics by 2, we highlight the direct opposites, right? The dual vibration. So those are they're basically the opposite in nature, which really brings them together. It creates a special attraction of harmonious vibrations between those two, making them a great combination when they come together. So whether that's in a partnership or in a relationship, they often vibrate together and they vibrate well together. So all the numbers in their series then tend to be attracted to one another and get along well with one another. And they're known as the interchangeables, and that's how they're known here. So let's get into the 1 and what that stands for. That stands in the symbolism for the sun. That's masculine. And 1 is the beginning, right? It's the number that springs out of darkness. It's the one that's responsible for our ability to have the other 9 numbers come into existence, right? It's the basis of all. It's the 1 in 1. It's the 1 in all and the all in 1. So 1, they're creative, inventive, imaginative. They're strong individualistically. They're ambitious, forceful, and direct. They're definite in their views. They're determined in all that they undertake. They dislike restraint, and they will often rise to the top in any position that they choose for themselves because of that. So these qualities relate to any person that's born on the 1st of the month, the 10th of the month, the 19th, or the 28th of the month. Of any month, and more importantly, if they're born in the period of the house of the moon or the house of the sun, which we just highlighted earlier. So that's pretty powerful. They also have the ones also have a heightened time during the spring equinox when the sun is at its most powerful. So that's also a favorable period for a person born on those dates that I just mentioned. So getting into the moon numbers, the numerical representation of those are the 2 and the 7, or the 7 and the 2. Again, the 2 represents the full moon. And then Neptune rules the number 7. But like I said, number 7 is also represented by the new moon. So that's the representation and how it equates there. As you all know, the moon's qualities are tied to water, as her gravitational pull controls the tides of Earth's oceans. She represents the interior part of us also that recalls memories, fears, and dreams. So that's how the moon relates to us on a physical level. She's a lovely lady that reflects the light of the sun onto us with the most beautiful sights. She oversees our department of feelings and emotions, and she's the bringer of moods, which is obviously a great moon word. Moons, and they also say that could be tied to, cycles of lunacy, if you don't get enough sleep and different things like that. Very interesting stuff, right? So let me see if we have any comments, because we are moving right along. None yet, but that's okay. I hope everyone is enjoying the show. It looks like we do have some viewers. If you're in the comments, let me know if you're born on any of those days. Are you born on the 1st, a date that adds up to the 1st, or the 4th, or the 2nd, or the 7th? Let me know in the comments if you are. So getting back to the moon, her house and placement in your chart reveal how your intuition works. It reveals how your emotional needs are, what they are, and how you want them met. And it's basically, the moon is the ultimate feminine energy. It determines how you are nurtured and how you nurture others. She's receptive, intuitive, and analytical. She rules over the breast, the ovaries, the womb, and the body. She also rules our bodily fluids, aka our internal ocean that keeps us alive. So that's why I was saying, like, during this time with the mini moon coming, I know I felt it. I felt very tired a little this week, and like I felt a little drained. So it's a time where you really should try to be like making sure you're hydrating yourself, drinking a lot of water. I'm right now drinking my water with cucumber in it. You guys should do the same. Cut you up a cucumber and put it in water, put it in the refrigerator, and just drink on it all week. It's really good for you and keeps you hydrated. And it's a good practice. So let's get into the number 2. It's symbolized by the moon. It has the feminine attributes of the sun, like we said. They're gentle. 2s are gentle by nature, imaginative, creative, artistic, romantic. They're inventive like number 1s, but they're not as forceful with it like number 1s, with carrying out the ideas of it. So for number 1s will be inventive and they'll go quickly and carry out that idea. No, number 2s will get the ideas, but it'll take them a little while to get to getting it out there. They'll critique it a lot and analyze it a lot. So sometimes that kind of kills the vibe of it, and things like that with twos. Yep. So often twos are less physical, strong in nature than number ones in stature. Two is more on a mental, spiritual plane, where one is more like a physical plane. So these qualities, like I said, will relate to any person that's born on the 2nd of the month, the 11th of the month, the 20th of the month, or the 29th of the month. Or more so if you're born in the period of the house of the moon or the house of the sun, secondary. So number two people, they vibrate mainly with number one people, and then with the other interchangeable numbers in the series. The only other number that two really can vibrate with is the 6. And that's because of the moon Venus favorable connection. So yeah, so they vibrate very well with the ones. That's why they're interchangeable. So it's the 1 and the 4, the 2 and the 7. Those numbers attract one another. They vibrate with one another. Sometimes I have tend to notice that the number, with the nature of the number 4, that it can bring out an unusual or fatal news or conditions to the other vibrations, mainly the number 1, it's interrelated number. So that things like that. And as you'll notice, today is the 29th of the month of September. So any person born today, their key numbers or their personal universal code, what I like to call it here, would be the 2, the 7, the 6, and the 11. And the 11 we add basically because of its master number qualities, and that it's a 29 day, and 29 reduces to 11 first and then to a 2. So yeah, so it's fitting that the mini moon would be entering the atmosphere on a day like this, on a 29 day. So it's a 2 energy day. The 11 energy, 2 moons, the ones next to each other, 1 and 1 to make 2. So these are all of the correlations that make this such like a lit combination, just to let you see how everything is just interconnected and interrelated in the way that things go in our cyclical universe that we all live in and sharing together. So if you guys want to know what your personal universal code is, make sure you hit me up to get that. You can hit me up for your personal universal code. You can hit me up for a consultation. You can do that at info@imtellerb.com, and just put subject line Numerologics by 2, and we'll get you that information. All right. So let's get right down to it. We're going to get over to the next slide and let's get to the mini moon facts. All right. Give me 1 second. So guys, these many moon facts are outrageous almost. Let me just pull this up right here so I can put the new thing on the screen. Hold on. Let me see. You got to get this screen right. Let's remove that for 1 second. And let's get that up there. All right. Now we got it added to the stage correctly. All right. So this is not the first mini moon that we have. It's about like the second documented one. The first documented one was 2022 NX1. That's what it was called. It arrived in 1981, which was a 1 universal year. That was 43 years ago. That equals a 7. That's the moon number. It returned in 2022. That equals a 6 universal year. But look at all those 2s. It has 3 2s in a row. So that's, to me, correlates to moon numbers. And then again, the moon is friendly with the number 6 with the Venus connection. So the return in 2000, when it returned in 2022, that was 41 years from its first appearance. There goes that sun number, the 4 and the 1. And then the next return that it'll have is in the year 2051, which will be an 8 universal year. And we're going to get to why that 8 universal year is important, because right now we're in an 8 universal year. We're in an 8 universal year. We're also in an 8 universal month, and today is a 1 universal day. So all of those numbers are correlating to how this moon is arriving, the period that it's arriving in, and we'll get to the significance of those periods in a minute after we get through the facts. So when it appears again, it'll be 70 years from its first appearance. When it appears again in 2051, that's a 7, a moon number. And When it'll be 29 years from the second appearance when it appeared in 2022, which actually is the 11 and then the 2, another moon number. So there go your interchangeable numerical interchangeable interconnected numbers at play, showing you that the moon has its influence over this mini moon. It's coming into its gravitational pull. So it's producing a lot of the 2 and the 7 numbers out of a lot of the facts and the way that the numbers are winding up here. So now let's look at the current mini moon. So the current mini moon is they called this 2024 PT5. Now, when you add that together as the name of something, it adds together in the Chaldean system as a 25/7. Again, that 7 is a moon number. It came out of the Arjuna asteroid belt. Arjuna in the Chaldean system is a 16/7, another moon number. It's arriving during the waning crescent moon in Virgo. That's the current moon that we're in right now, the phase, and the zodiac of the moon that we're in right now. And all of this is happening just before the lunar eclipse, which occurs during a new moon, which actually is happening on October 2nd, another moon number. So why is all of that significant? Why is all that significant? So I want to point out that the arrival comes in the 8th phase of the moon, the waning crescent. We're in the 8 universal month. It's a 1 universal day. So that 8 and that 1, what's that? 8 minus 1 is a 7. So there goes a moon number right there. It's going to be departing in the 8th phase of the moon, of the waning crescent in Libra. On 11/25, that's going to be in a 1 universal month on an 8 universal day. So they just flip flop. So it comes in on a 2 day in an 8 universal month on a 1 universal day. And then it departs on a 7 day in a 1 universal month on an 8 universal day. So this is poignant, because 8 does symbolize the planet Saturn. That's the planet of fate and transformations. It's 8 is the number of fate, destiny, and judgment, divine justice and judgment, divine justice, if you will. And the 8, it represents 2 worlds, the spiritual and the material world. It is, in fact, if one regards it, it's like 2 circles touching each other. It's broken down into equal numbers, 4 and 4. And I often tend to believe that may be associated with some of the fatalistic events of that 4 and 8 together. But 8 is the number of irrevocable fate. So it's in connection, that's in connection with people's lives or nations, right? So take a look at that. 8 is also the number of authority, power, concentration of mind, success. And if we relate that to it coming in during this period, a mini moon, that feminine energy coming in, how does that tie to everything that's going on now? A lot of people say that we're entering a time where the patriarchal, government is, weak, and it's going to be falling soon, and it's going to be going into a matrilineal alignment. Is this representative of that with the mini moon, with the feminine energy, with the 8 energy, in that 8 period, coming along with achievement, authority, success, and power, switching cycles, coming around the time of a new moon where there's going to be transformation, energy, upheaval. It's also during a lunar eclipse. So you have to think about, that's going to be bringing this more intensified feelings to the surface. So, how do those things how do they interrelate? So let's get back to the 8 and look at the sides of the natures. So one side of the nature of the 8 represents upheaval, revolution, anarchy, waywardness, and eccentricities of all kinds. And the other side represents philosophical thought, a strong leaning toward occult studies, religious devotion, concentration of purpose, zeal for any cause espoused. So which number, guys? What is this 8 representing? What do we feel like this 8 years bringing in for us with this election year? you know, which side is it going to bring? Is it going to bring the revolution and the upheaval and waywardness and anarchy? Or is it going to bring, you know, strong zeal for a purpose, for a cause that's higher than ourselves, you know, a concentration of purpose. So that's something interesting. It's something to look out for. And it's really interesting that the mini moon happens to be coming in this cycle. It enters in the cycle of the 8. It exits in the cycle of that 8 energy, and also the 1 energy, which denotes new opportunities, planting seeds, you know, new adventures, maybe traveling, obviously traveling to a new place. Today's a 1 universal day, and that mini moon is traveling to our atmosphere. That mini moon's never been here before, so it's traveling to a new place. So that's another thing that you can even look at. So let's get back to the rest of these facts over here. So this is the second mini moon. It's a second moon coming, and it's a second mini moon documented. It's lasting for 2 months, approximately 58 days. And that 13 equals a 4. That's one of the sun numbers. It was first discovered on August 7th. That 7 that was a period of the house of the sun, first of all. It's a 7 day, which is a moon number. And it's in that period of the 1 and 4. So the sun and the moon, this is giving you more, you know, I guess evidence that the sun and the moon numbers are always at interplay. They're attracted to each other. They're always working with each other. And again, we already said it arrives on 9/29, which is a 2 day, and it departs. Oops, let's go back. That's why I don't like this mode. And it departs on the 25th of November, which is a 7 day, which is a 1 universal month, and an 8 universal day. So it's just flip-flopping. The numbers are they're really simply flip-flopping. The arrival and the departure date numbers just flip-flop. It's totally amazing to me. So it returns also in the year 2055. So that's 31 years from now, back to a number 4, that sun number. So all of this is just giving you more evidence as to how real this metaphysical science is and how these numbers interplay with each other. The mini moon, you know, also it's arriving while our moon is in that waning crescent phase of Virgo, like I was talking about. And what that probably brought about for people was like a more intensified feeling of the need to like organize, like, you know, clean, scour, sort your stuff, like troubleshoot things, like fix things in some type of way. You know, try to sort and get yourself organized. I know it did for me. I've been feeling it kind of the last couple of days. The body may also feel exhausted, like I said earlier, from those intensified vibrations of your fluids being pulled. You got 2 moons now coming into that gravitational atmosphere. Even though this moon is kind of small, it's still going to affect us, right? It's still going to affect us because it's coming into our atmosphere. It's not a huge moon. It's about 33 with the asteroid. Actually, it's not actually a moon, and you will not be able to see it with the naked eye. You would need a professional telescope to see it. That's how small it is, because the light is dim on it. It's not a real moon, but it's just enough to come in to the atmosphere and bring some new energy. Like I said, in that period of the 8, a period of the power cycle of achievement, of success. So, you know, how that relates to everything that we have going on, bringing that feminine energy into play. So again, make sure you're drinking a lot of water, get plenty of rest. You'll thank me later because it's a lot going on in the atmosphere right now. And you just want to make sure your body's prepared so you don't have exhaustion and things like that and get dehydrated. Speaking of which, let me take a water break. And really all of this should be doing is preparing you for that upcoming new moon that's coming on October 2nd in the zodiac sign of Libra. Again, that too is on the 2nd, is on a moon day, but we're getting a new moon that day. It's also coming with the lunar eclipse. So during that new moon phases, you should be just setting intentions. It's a time for a fresh start during the new moon, new beginnings, making plans to recharge, kind of clear your energy, you know, do affirmations, things like that, of things that you want to grow over the next course of the cycle. And that being in Libra, that focus is going to be more on relationships or the romantic side of things. Also balance, in relationships and how we're, balancing the power struggle in the relationship. Also home and family responsibilities, and things that, need to be accounted for. So it's going to bring that energy up to the forefront. And I call that the big eclipse energy. Let me get this up here. We're going to take this down for 1 second. I hope everyone's enjoying the show. I don't know if there's comments because I just been going in. I don't see any, or I can't see any. But I just want to thank everybody that's tuned in live. I hope they're enjoying the show. And I hope you guys are learning things. Let me get this up here because I love this. And I want to make sure everybody sees it. I know I had that PowerPoint up. Okay. I had to find a correlation and an acronym for B, right? Y'all know that's my thing. Y'all know I gotta get an acronym going. So B is the big eclipse energy. We just had a solar eclipse the other day. And now we're having a lunar eclipse on 10/2, and that's going to be in Libra, like I was just talking about. So, it's big eclipse energy season. It's time, it's going to be time things are going to be coming to the forefront, depending on when it's taking place. So it's time to get things into balance, and get rid of what no longer serves you. It's time to shift your being into a more state of balance. And the big eclipse energy, that B energy, will make that feeling more powerful and more intensified, especially with that mini moon in the atmosphere, especially with that. So I'm going to get this going, and we're going to talk a little bit now about the, let me see. We already did that part with the moon. I didn't even look at that slide. That's fine. We're going to get right into the political implications, and just take a little sneak peek at the numerologics of the candidates. All right, let me get back on here and share the screen. If you guys, or whoever's in the audience, if you can see, just give me a comment, because I can see people are watching, but I don't know. These comments are looking kind of weird in the audience, so I don't know exactly if you guys are, if you can see it, if you can hear it well. I hope so. When I first started off, I was on mute. I had a great intro. I was all prepared. And then when I hit go, it hit go, but I was on mute. So it was kind of a rough start, but we got through it. And, I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be sharing this with you guys today, on a one universal day. So let me share the screen, and we're going to talk about the political numbers. All right. So let me look at this way, and let's just move this microphone up a little bit. All right. So these are the political numerologics. Election day is going to be Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. That's going to be taking place in the 8 universal year, which we know we're in until the end of the year. It's going to be a 1 universal month. It's going to be a 2 universal week, a 6 universal day. This is for the 47th presidency of the United States. That 47 obviously equals the 11-2. That is a moon number. And who does that favor? And not saying that that's the only thing that comes into play, but it's probably one of the main things that I would say does. So let's look at Kamala Harris's keys, and we'll look at Donald Trump's keys. Let me go over here. So Kamala Harris was born on October 20th, 1964. That makes her a life path number 5. I like to call that a spin off of my instructor. I like to call that they're in the middle school of life. So let's put this up here. And so you guys can see, when you're a Destiny 5, it's you must learn to be enthusiastic, clever, adaptable, and adventure, expressive, and writing and speech, curious, scientific, and crisis-oriented. So that's what she's here to learn and here to do. Her astro-numeric descriptor is an air sign with a water number. That's an ASWN. And I like to put it that way. It's a play to me off of the Jung personality thing that they did. you guys know what I'm talking about, like the ENTF and all that. So I did the astronumeric descriptors where it's your sign with your number, and we just call it what it is, the ASWN. That's an air sign water number. That makes her logical. She uses reasoning and deduction. She probably enjoys her space, but she's emotional and sensitive. She's analytic and receptive. So that's her that's her and. That is her astronumeric description. Her individual frequency, which is just her birth number, is a 2. As you can see, she's the 20th. She was born on the 20th, so that equals a 2. So her birth number, her individual frequency is a 2. And I think we've learned about the 2 earlier, so I don't need to go into, talking more about the 2. Gentle, romantic by nature, creative, imaginative, receptive, not forceful, romantic. So her personal universal code, which is her key numbers, are the 2, the 7, and the 6. And her personal year factor is a 30/3. That means her personal year cycle is always 3 years ahead of the universal cycle. And then her name, we'll do a dualytic of the name. So we did a Pythagorean and a Chaldean. So her name with the Pythagorean, I'll just say, she has a strong interest in herself, and where she's going and how she's getting there over her interest in the community or the environment at large, or global interest. So whereas Trump has a stronger interest in the community and the surrounding environment over himself or global affairs. But we'll get to Trump's when we get to Trump's. But that's Kamala's. So she, so for whatever that's worth, whatever that might mean to you guys. And then her Chaldean name equals a 26/8. Her name in Chaldean is not in good vibration with her birth number. So I will tell you that. So, whatever snafus that she might have had along the way, that could be a part of it. That name is not in alignment with her, with her birth number or her individual frequency, that 2 and the 8. So her name, that 26, let's read what her Chaldean name is. So that 26 stands for, this number is full of the gravest warnings for the future. It foreshadows disasters brought about by association with others, ruin by bad speculations, by partnerships, unions, and bad advice. If it comes out in connection with future events, one should carefully consider the path one is treading. So that's what that 26 denotes in a Chaldean spiritual compound number breakdown. So not very, doesn't sound very favorable. And then if we look at her first name alone, it's a 12/3, which the 12 is not very favorable either. And I'll save the 12 because that's actually what Donald Trump's whole name comes up to. So these two, to me, they have more in common than I think than they think each other do. Maybe not on the physical level, but some of the different spiritual correlations that I see through their numerology, they have some things in common, both being air signs and different things like that. Their name, her first name is the 12/3. His whole name is the 12/3. If you do VP Harris in the Chaldean, it's a 24/6. And the 24/6, that's what Trump's full name is in the Chaldean. So they have, there's different. And then if you look again at their birthdays, she's 1964 and he's 1946. So that's just flipped around. So they have, some similarities, maybe not in the traditional sense that you would say a similarity, but some similarities nonetheless. So let's see where we left off. So her up cycle right now, that's her universal personal cycle. That's an up cycle. She's in an 8 universal year. Well, we're all in an 8 universal year. So we're all in the 8 universal year, and then she's in a 2 personal year. Now, on the day of the election, she'll be in a 4 personal month, in a 5 personal week, and on a 9 personal day. Now, that 9 personal day is a stress number for her. That 4 personal month is a stress number for her. It's an opposition for her. Now, the 2 personal year, she's got that going for her, but that's not as immediate as like the month and the day. So she's gonna, obviously it'll be a stressful time for her, but there could be some stressors there. So, I'm not one to say it's not a prediction, it's just showing you the numbers and showing you what they are. Now let's get to Donald Trump's keys. Let's go check in with the audience and see if there's anything going on. I don't see anything in the comments, but I still see people watching. So whoever's watching, thank you for hanging in there with your girl. It's been a little rough, but we got through it. The technical difficulties. Okay, so let's get on with Donald Trump's numbers. Okay, so Donald Trump's keys. All right, so he's born. Hold on one second. Let me pull this back up. I pulled up the wrong screen. Let's get to his numbers over here. Donald Trump, where are you? There you go. Okay, so Donald Trump was born June 14th, 1946. That makes him a life path 4. He's also in the middle school life. See, so they're both in the middle school. The 4 and the 5 to me, those are middle school numbers. They're in the middle school grades of life. So they, the lessons that they have to learn are kind of like middle school-esque lessons. For him, he must learn to be practical, methodical, studious, down to earth, disciplined, honest, loyal, punctual, and trustworthy. So, that could be a challenge for him. I'm not saying, but it could be. It could be a challenge for him. And his astro-numeric descriptor, he is a ASAN. He's an air sign with the air number. And let's just get that on the screen for people. The air sign with the air number is logical. They're great communicators, always in their head, always thinking, overthinking, probably enjoys his space, his freedom, loves to travel. He's quick-witted, could be vulgar in some of the things that he does and says. We see that especially with his individual frequency being a 5. 5 is the fundamental sex number. It's the number of travel, freedom, multi-dimensional, multi-talented, likes their space, doesn't like to be tied down at all. So that's the 5 energy. And we see that with Donald Trump. So his personal universal code would be a 569. His personal year factor is a 22, which is Kamala's birth number. So again, that's another correlation to me with them too. And then, so as far as Donald Trump's name, like I said, in the Pythagorean, the one thing that I like to point out, he has a stronger interest in the community and the surrounding environment over his self or global affairs. So for whatever that's worth for you, I don't know if that, doesn't really mean anything. Other things that you want to also look at, like for Donald Trump, I think he's missing 1s and 9s, which means he could be, being told what to do. He could be, like with all that Project 2025, is for them to kind of like have it regulated in a way where he's not really making a decision, and if he does, he's full autonomy. So it makes you think, it makes you wonder, So his name in Chaldean, it adds up to a 12-3, and that's not a favorable number. Just like Kamala Harris's number was not a favorable number, and just like Kamala Harris's 8 does not vibrate well with her individual frequency birth number 2, neither does Donald Trump's Chaldean 3 vibe well with his individual frequency birth number 5. Those numbers are disharmonic together. So they're opposition numbers. So the both of them have that in common too. And I guess you can kind of see that through their careers, different snafus and things that they've had go on with themselves. And for Donald Trump, his 12 symbolizes it's the number of suffering and anxiety of mind. It also indicates as the sacrifice or the victim, and generally foreshadows one being sacrificed for the plans or intrigues of others. And he should really take that serious, that's what his name adds up to, especially with the different attempts, in his life and different things like that. And, whatever he's got going on with the Project 2025 stuff, which is all shady to me, that Project 2025, guidebook and all that kind of stuff. Manifesto is what I call it, is what it looks like. I did a show on it. If you're interested in seeing that, you can go back on my show and watch that. I did earlier this year. But yeah, so definitely. And then when you look at Donald Trump's, the only favorable thing that I've seen was the 24/6. The 24 is, it's a pretty favorable number. And I guess people do call him Trump. So if they were just if he's being referred to as Trump, but he's not really. He is sometimes in the media, but as far as running for the presidency, is going to go by his full name, Donald Trump. So that's that 12/3. And again, Kamala, her first name is the 12/3. So she's also has that energy with her. And that can be telling too, with the way she was kind of pushed out, to be in the forefront. And maybe hopefully she's not the sacrifice or taking the fall for something going on with the Democratic Party or the political party in general. So I'm not one to say, and I think I might have made a mistake with the VP Harris. I don't know what I said it added up to, but it adds up. If you call her VP Harris, which she's being referred to a lot in the media, that adds up to a 28. The 28 is not a favorable number in the Chaldean compound number. That number is the divorce number. It's full of contradictions. It indicates a person of great promise and possibilities who is likely to see all taken away from him or her unless he or she carefully provides for the future. So it indicates loss through trust in others, opposition and competition in trade, danger of loss through law, and likelihood of having to begin life's road over and over again. It is not a fortunate number for the indication of future events. So that's her VP Harris. That's what that adds up to. So very interesting stuff. I think it is. I hope you thought it was. Okay, we got to get through Trump's up cycle. Of course, he's in the 8 universal year, like all of us are in that 8 universal years. It's a power year, power of achievements. It's a career number. So to get recognized or to rise to a level of an executive level or to get recognized in a leadership level, authority, power, success, money. That's all the 8 energy. So that's all what we should have been going through this year. Trump's up cycle is an 8 universal year with a 1 personal year. So, that 1 personal year for Trump, it's favorable that he could win a presidency that year. It's, starting a new opportunity, planting seeds, doing something new, stepping out, striking out on his own. So, we'll see. We'll see. Also, his 8 and his 1 is matching, this timing of the moon coming in too. It's matching the numerology of the mini moon, So we'll see what happens. I'm not saying one way or other. I would like to see what you guys think. If you guys have any thoughts on anything that I've said, questions, if you want to call in, you can do that in the audience. But until then, let's get on to the next slide. Well, I don't have the next slide up, but we were going to talk about the 9 universal year coming next year. And we can do that. I'm just going to put the 9 up here. And then let me get myself back up here and remove that. And let me go get that 9. Where is it? I got so many banners in here. Oh, maybe I didn't put it up there. Oh, no, here it goes. Yep. So October is preview season, preview month, from, really now until the end, to the end of the year. This is going to be preview season of everything that's to come next year. As we know, 2025 is a 9 universal year. October is a 9 universal month. So a lot of the energy that we are experiencing and things that's going on in October is kind of a preview of what's to come next year. So except for the master numbers, 9 is the highest cycle that exists, and 9 generally it symbolizes completions, transformations or completions, endings. That could be in personal business, in your personal life or your business life. It could be people, places, or things. endings of that, relationships. You could be letting go of personal habits, shedding things that no longer serves you, things that you've outgrown. That's the energy that we're going to be going into with this 9 universal year, in this 9 personal month in October. It's also a time to, develop your humanitarian side, and learn lessons of sharing and caring. Learning to be brotherly, learn to give of yourself without expecting anything back. More universal brotherly love approach to situations. I think if you'll do that, you'll find, abundance and blessings. This year, the 9 universal year will be important for Aries and Scorpio. And in minor way, Leos, or those born on the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th of the month. Health wise, you want to be on point. Don't get into too many disagreements, arguments, altercations with others. No road raging. Be careful around weapons, guns, knives, explosives. 9's the number of fire. You want to avoid any accidents. I mean, accidents are accidents, but, just be more on point so you can see, make sure you try to avoid it if you can. But that's the number, that's the energy that it brings. So again, 9 is the number of fire. So make sure you're taking care in the kitchen. Don't leave the oven, going while you run into the other room or run somewhere to get laundry or whatever. Just make sure you keep an eye on things. No smoking in the bed or on the sofa or in flammable areas. No leaving candles lit. You want to, I know people be lighting candles to manifest and do different things, but make sure you do it in a safe area. And different things like that. So just watch your temperament and your mental disposition during this time. And I think you'll find that you'll do well in this next year. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'm kind of glad no one called in because I had so much going on. Thank you, Shan Flame. She said, great content, sis. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope you understood it. And I really hope that you get tuned in with your numbers. All of us have a personal universal code. It's a gift that we're all born with from the universe. So make sure, if you want to learn what that is, get tapped in with me. And, I'm happy to, walk you through what yours is and walk you through any opposition numbers that you might have, or anything that you're looking for, maybe career-wise, relationship-wise, health wise. We can look at the numbers and see what they say. This is definitely powerful stuff. And I really wanted to make sure that I shared it with my audience on on a one universal day. So this is something new. It's a seed that I'm planting for my new one universal year that I'll be going in next year. So I'll be in a cycle of, my up cycle will be a 9-1. So I'll be in a cycle of a 9 universal year and a 1 personal year. So, very poignant, transformations, transforming some of the content that we're doing here, transforming it in a way that it can be more useful and more helpful to the audience. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. More to come. Thank you for hanging in the beginning when we had the technical difficulty. So I will try to get that edited up. And if not, it is what it is. If whoever tunes into this is who it's for. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in with me. Thank you if you tuned in during a rebroadcast. Remember to take it easy. And remember to get your relationships in balance and order for the new lunar new moon and the new lunar eclipse that's coming on a new moon on October 2nd. So thank you so much. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel at Teller BTV and at Numerologist by 2. Hit me up at info@IamTellerB for your personal universal code or for an astro numeric consultation for the new year. Peace and love. Thank you.